Welcome to the Coop Tank. I'm your host, Steve Cooper, coming to you from SuiteRecording in beautiful Mount Laurel, New Jersey. You know, people, if you have a podcast, a video cast, an audiobook, hell, even if you need a studio built, SuiteRecording is a place for you. Joe Gangemi not only knows his stuff and is honest, but he's a really great guy. So check him out at their website, Suite, SUITE, recording.com, or email him at hello@suiterecording.com. Anyway, we have a great show today, and I was thinking on the way over to the studio that I really don't know my guests that well. Usually I get people I know very well, and I think that makes it important. And that's my idea, is to get people out and talking and that I don't know that well. And the thing I know about them all is they're all intelligent. They're all out there making stuff happen. They all exude good energy, and that's why they're in the Coop Tank today. And my first guest from the law offices of Lynda Hinkle, it's Lynda Hinkle. How you doing, Lynda?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm all right. I'm hanging in there. Next, we have from Mindset Strategies, Chantelle Fitzgerald.
Hello, Steve Cooper. It's great to be here. I'm excited for today.
All right. And then finally, I'm not even going to say it. I screw a company name all the time. Ruotolo. Did I get it? And
close.
and company, and she's the founder of Plan. It's Shannon Slamp. How you doing, Shannon?
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Okay. So I want to go around. I want you to tell the listeners what you do, what makes you different, all that stuff that, is important that you want to get across. And we'll start with you, Lynda.
So I am just a lawyer, and we all know that lawyers are difficult, crazy human beings that try to solve problems in the best possible ways, sometimes create problems, but I try to avoid that as much as possible. I primarily focus on family law, estate law, and guardianships, and also do some power of attorney abuse cases as well. We're all over South Jersey, and I think what makes us different is we really do focus on practical solutions and trying to help people get out of difficult situations in the best possible way.
Okay. How about you, Chantelle?
So I am the founder of Mindset Strategies. We are a leadership development firm that focuses in on mindfulness, emotional intelligence, executive coaching. And what makes us different is we also have a leadership institute for Black women. So we target companies that want to invest in their Black women leaders to help get them to the next level. So that's a little bit about what we do. And our tagline is, we make leaders better. So oftentimes we are in sticky and tricky situations in the workplace with colleagues and bosses and everybody else. And so we provide tools and techniques and coaching to really help individuals navigate the trickiness in the workplace.
And how about you, Shannon?
So I am the Director of Client Solutions for Ruotolo, Spewak Company, and we're an accounting and auditing firm in Mount Laurel, and we are basically committed to client service. It's all we do, is we do audits and taxes and planning and things like that. And we can help you, and we're with you from the start to finish and everywhere in between. And for Plan, it is an administrative consulting firm that I started in 2022. So we just celebrated our first year. And it's basically like a personal assistant / admin per diem for any small businesses or solo entrepreneurs.
Okay, Chantelle, now you mentioned leadership, and I want to ask all of you, first of all, we'll start with you. What makes a person a good leader in your eyes? What traits do they have that you sit there and go, man, that person can lead me? What is it to you that makes someone a great leader?
For me, we spend a lot of time in training around mindfulness and emotional intelligence. So I believe that someone that makes a great leader has a high degree of emotional intelligence. So what does emotional intelligence mean? So basically, it's being able to be aware of your own emotions and the emotions of others, and to be able to navigate in between that. So having empathy, having compassion, being able to recognize your own emotions in the moment. So maybe you're getting really hot and heated, and somebody is, or you get an email, right, that is very has a tone that you don't like, and you want to respond with another tone. Are you recognizing this within yourself and being able to leverage your own power and be able to navigate that in a strategic way that supports you and the other person? So and we use mindfulness because mindfulness is important to be present. And the only way to have self-awareness is if you are present with yourself. So I think, being a great leader has a high degree of being present as well as a high degree of emotional intelligence.
How about you, Lynda?
So I think it's being able to pick out the strengths and weaknesses in yourself and in the members of your team. So sometimes people build job descriptions and try to cram a human being into it, whereas I think a real leader takes a human being and builds a job around them that works with their talent if there's someone that really jives well with the culture of the organization. And I think you also have to be aware of what you're good at and what you're not good at. I cannot do any accounting whatsoever, so I have to delegate that to someone else. I am good at marketing, so I don't delegate as much of that, but I am not so good at, for instance, tech level stuff. So, you have to know what you're good at and know when you need to let go of things.
And you, Shannon?
I agree with both Chantelle and Lynda. I also think that having this mindset of nothing is above you, or nothing is below you. So if you were to go and take out the trash, you can show that you have interns, you're going to do the dirty work, or you're going to do the, more menial kinds of jobs. So just show that you're all the same and you're working on the same team together. And I definitely think the emotional intelligence and then knowing what you know and what you don't know are definitely really big.
Now, I'm writing a book about networking. It's called Don't Be a Jerk, The Comedy of Networking. And my opening line basically is, this book will not change your life. I am a firm believer. I don't think a book or a movie can change your life. A heart doctor can, a brain surgeon can, but that's just my philosophy. But there are other people that feel differently. I'm going to ask each of you, if you think a book or movie or something like that can change your life and has, and if not, has something impacted you? Because I think we get impacted by something. I think you see a great piece of art and impacts you to say, oh my God, I might want to paint. I don't think it changes your life. But it's a weird question, but I was thinking about that. And we'll start with you, Shannon. Do you think, is there anything that you can say changed your life or not? If not, has something impacted your life?
I definitely think maybe not a book. I've been reading Human Hacking. It's actually a really good book for understanding kinds of different types of emotional triggers and things that you can find out subliminally from people. So it's kind of interesting to read that about somebody and then, maybe I can change my point of view and how I react with other different people. My committee plan has a committee as well. It's free women's. So it's open every month. We meet and we talk about different things. And some of the things that I've been learning from those girls and learning from the meetings that we've been having is that, I wanted to better myself. So just being around the other professional women and just hearing their stories and then reading the books that we have been reading, we read about the 4 agreements, we did disc scoring and Enneagram. It really kind of changes your whole personality. At least for me, I've been trying to take it a step further and change my personality, change how I deal with certain situations that might be stressful or negative and, things like that. But yes, I definitely think that they can.
Okay, how about you, Chantelle?
Yeah, I agree. I do think that books can change your life, depending on the content of the book and what it is. And what I mean by that is, can it change behavior in yourself? Can it change your perspective on something? And I've read so many books that have changed my perspective on a lot of things especially when it comes to money. For example, I've read books on money and how you have a relationship with money and how, depending on how you think about money is dependent on how you grew up with money. Did you have a lot or did you have a little? And what is your relationship to money now? So yes, there are a ton of books that I could point to that has changed my life. And I wouldn't say, and that sounds so profound and things like that, but I would say changed my behavior and my perception of how I think about things for the better, actually. So yes, I think books can absolutely change your life depending on the content and how you resonate with the content and how you want to transform your own behavior into helping yourself be better and be a better leader as well. So I think it's really about change of behavior. Sorry, go ahead.
That makes sense. That makes sense. For me, I always crack up when people go, it changed my life. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm waiting for like lightning bolts to come down and, something to pop up. Like all of a sudden you go from like all of a sudden I have hair. Like it changed my life. This book changed my life. But how about you, Lynda?
So, full disclosure, I have a master's in English. So, obviously, I am a big fan of reading and books, and books definitely have changed my life, probably hundreds of them. I still teach from time to time, and I think that it's not just nonfiction books, it's fiction books and historical books that can really change your perspective because we have all of this human history and knowledge out there that we can tap into that we can't get on our own unless we tap into somebody else's thinking from a different time period.
Okay.
And I think it's subtle to your point though, Steve. I think it's a subtle, yeah. You're not gonna have like total like, lightning bolts and now you're growing hair or whatever, but it's more subtle, and it's subtle changes that over time, reading lots of different books can subtly change you into a better person, I think.
Okay, well, there's someone on the phone. They're queuing in and say, "Hey, I like books." Anyway, I want to ask you. We're all at different points in our careers, and it seems like now people change all the time. Like you said, you have your master's in English, Lynda, but you're a lawyer. And Chantelle, I mean, I looked at your Shannon. You went to hair school.
I went to skincare school. Yep.
Yeah. So you all have found different passages of what you've done. Okay, I want to ask you in your professional life, and this could be any time in your career as a professional, not your personal life, professional life. What was your down point? Like, what was your down point, and how'd you pull yourself around to sit there and pull out of it? Like me, I got fired from a job one time, and I was really depressed. But I said, oh, well, it's a job, and thank God it wasn't a job I kept because I would never want to have that job now. But was there any down points, and how did you rebound? Because a lot of times people will go through something and we think it's the end of the world. Like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. And it isn't. It's just, it's a bump in a speed bump in the road, and we all hit them. But Lynda, we'll start with you. What was like the down point of your career, and how'd you redirect yourself? Because you're doing great now.
Well, that's really difficult for me to answer for a variety of reasons. One being there's been more than one down point, for heaven's sakes. As a lawyer, it's like every 22 minutes. But I think that for me, growing up sort of in a working class home and seeing my parents just do everything that they needed to do to support the family and be as strong as they were, I never really had a moment where I felt like I can't get out of this. Wherever I was always thinking, where can I go? And perhaps the biggest down point was right before I became a lawyer, because became a lawyer later in life. I was not young. I was very ill, actually. I actually almost died. And I was in the hospital getting rejection letters because I tried to get into a PhD program in English, and I was getting my rejection letters. And then I got a recruitment letter from Rutgers Law, and that is how I ended up becoming a lawyer. So sometimes the down points are the things that lead you to the place you're really supposed to be in the first place. You just had no idea that was the case.
How about you? How about you, Chantelle?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think those down points are pivotal moments that lead you into where you're supposed to be. I can definitely relate to both of you, especially a major moment in my life was moving my whole life from Philadelphia to Boston for an amazing job, only for it to not work out after a year. And I was devastated that I had moved my whole life to a whole nother state and a whole nother thing, only for it to not work out. And then, trying to figure out what am I going to do with my life and where am I going, and just being completely depressed and not knowing what am I going to do with my life. And so that's actually when I found mindfulness, because I heard great things about it. It helps you with depression. It helps you with anxiety. So I'm like, well, I got nothing to lose. Let me give this a shot. And lo and behold, that literally changed my life. And yeah, that literally changed my life, because now I am teaching mindfulness and emotional intelligence because I saw the benefits of how it transformed my life into being a depressive person, into being a more positive, excited, present, enjoying life kind of person. So yes, those down moments I think are pivotal in helping you point to your future.
How about you, Shannon?
So I had been in administration for a little while, and then I went and I was like, why don't I try skincare? So I'm like, I like my skin. I like helping out other people. I did skincare school overnight. So I was working during the day, and then I would go at night to skincare school in Voorhees. And, I graduated first in my class. I had perfect attendance. I did all that stuff. And it was so hard to find a job in the spa field. And this is back in the early, I would say the teens of the 20 teens. And there wasn't a lot of people that were hiring. And if they were hiring, it wasn't for a lot of money. So you go to school, you do all this stuff, and you get into a career. Finally, you're in the spa. And it stunk. Oh my goodness. It was great to do. It was really cool to do different things to different people and have like an immediate kind of, this is the results that you give to somebody. So I've always been a person that likes to help people and any kind of anything. And it just really stunk to have put all that money into, this profession that I wanted to do, only to find out that at that time, everybody was going on, Instagram or YouTube, and they're like, oh, take some coffee grounds and put them on your face. And you're like, okay, cool. If everybody's doing that, nobody's coming in the spa, or they want it for $20. So it was just a low point in my life. I went and got Christmas gifts at the Dollar General because I was making beyond poverty level when I was working in the spa field. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep the license just in case if I ever need anything to fall back on, but I'm going to go. And I went back into admin, and I've been there ever since, and I made a career out of it. So it's been something that I'm really happy, and it stung to happen, but it seemed like it was a catalyst for me.
Now, for all of you, I follow you on LinkedIn, and you all are leaders. You're female leaders. And I talked this the other day, I feel leaders are all leaders. But what is the role? Is it harder to be a female leader? Because, I would love to say in 2023, we can look across the board, everybody's the same. But if I say that, I'm full of shit. Okay. I don't care. We go through it. We see people who don't look in the same vein. I see it in people I know in Hollywood, and I call actresses actors, but my friend Liz, she's 48. She was in All My Children at 16. She's writing now because she's like, I get older. Hollywood just doesn't have the roles for me. Now, what is it like to be a woman leader, which I consider all of you, in 2023? Is it easier? Is it still the same pain in the ass where some people don't give you the respect? What is it like? I'm going to start with you, Chantelle, because you teach leadership and you know what it's all about.
Yeah, there's a lot of, this is a loaded question.
Take it away.
So yes, there's a lot of work to be done. Yes, we have come a long way, but there's a lot of work to be done when it comes to women in leadership, especially women of color in leadership. You do not see many Black women. I'll just take my perspective in this moment. You don't see many Black women CEOs of major corporations. So let's just be honest, they're just not there. And they are oftentimes, in terms of Black women, they are oftentimes way more educated, have a lot more experience, have done all the roles, and are extremely qualified, and yet still struggling to get to the next level. And that's due to so many different reasons in organizations, and also to a lot of biases. People often don't see Black women as leaders, and in high level positions. There's other issues where maybe we don't see ourselves as leaders sometimes in being able to get to that top position because we never had that opportunity. So I think that it's important there's so many layers and levels of this, but to keep it short, I think that we need to be more mindful, of this, and also actually create more opportunities for women to get to the next level, because they are there. It's just a matter of allowing them to have that pathway to promotion. And oftentimes, depending on organizations and where they are stagnated by other leaders in the organization and things like that. So creating pathways to promotion for women to get to the next level, I think, is really important.
How about you, Shannon?
I agree with that. Being, a woman leader, I've definitely found that people don't take you immediately as like, oh, you're young, you don't have a lot of experience, you're kind of small, so I don't really think that you're the right person for this job, or you're not the right person to represent my company. It is difficult. I think that we've gotten better, but there still is a long way to go. I think that having women support women is a really big thing that still doesn't happen. A lot of women see, it's like that whole crab mentality where, the one crab will pull the other crab down. Like if I can't get up, you're not allowed to get up either. And it stinks because you have to change your personality from a self-centered, not necessarily mean kind of way, but into a, I want to help other people. I think if she succeeds, that means that we're all succeeding somehow in a way that's, progressive for every other woman in this world. So I definitely agree with that. And I do agree with the Black leadership as well. I am the only white person on a Black nonprofit, and color means nothing, but there's a president. She's the president of the nonprofit, and I will do everything in my power to lift her up and get her, as much help as she needs, because that's my leader in that kind of group. So I am all for helping other women and, hoping other women can help me in the future.
How about you, Lynda?
I think it's a really complicated question because there's so many other things that intersect with gender that make the situation different. Age, race, religion, class, all of these things factor in. And so it's not every woman doesn't have the same experience. My experience is infinitely different than many other people's experience. But I think for the one maybe common denominator is that we all face challenges that are different than most men face. And that also is different based on the man's color, age, and economic background. But I think we have to overcome certain stereotypes about who we are as women in order to overcome those things. We're all supposed to be nurturing, and I can certainly be nurturing, but I think a good reason why I am able to do what I do is because I've reached a point in my life, and that has to do with age, where I really just don't give a damn what anybody thinks about me. And that makes a huge difference in the ability to lead and to do what you need to do to move forward.
It's funny you say you don't give a damn what everyone thinks of you. And I think a lot of us as we get older do, and I think we need to. But when you go to LinkedIn, so many people care what people think about them. I always bring up like the like scenario, like how many likes did I get? And likes doesn't translate to business. Okay. Likes, it's like anything. Bottom line is you can be the most popular person in the world, but you're not getting any business out of it. Are you successful? Yeah, because you have a lot of likes. But what is your experience as LinkedIn? What do you guys like about, and I said guys, it's something I always say everyone guys. I hate when I say that. What do you like about LinkedIn? And what do you not like about LinkedIn? We talked about this last week. Well, certain words, some people put themselves up in a pedestal. We said people are never doing bad in LinkedIn. Like no one goes, oh my God, I just had a shitty day. Facebook, they say that too much. You see people telling their whole damn life story. You're like, okay, calm down there. But with LinkedIn, what do you like about LinkedIn and what do you not like about LinkedIn? And we'll start with you, Lynda, because you always post insightful stuff and you posted stuff about the shortage of judges. You post some good stuff. So what do you like about it and what do you not like about it?
I like that LinkedIn is more intellectual than some of the other social media, and you can post and interact about like real sort of events and things, but it is definitely a different persona. So what I'm going to post on LinkedIn is different than how I'm going to post on Facebook or anything else, or Instagram. And I think that there's definitely an audience for all of those personas, and they're all real. There's nothing fake about them, but it's an opportunity to express something different and something a little more in depth than you can do in like a picture on Instagram or to your friends list on Facebook. What I don't like about LinkedIn is the endless canned messages that you get every time that you open up your LinkedIn. There's like 20 people just giving you this big spiel that they've written to 30,000 other people. And I think that's unfortunate because that's never going to sell me or probably pretty much anybody else. And so it's kind of a waste of bandwidth.
I'm doing something wrong. I never get those messages. I only get people from YouTube for this show. I get people who are always like, do you need YouTube marketing? I'm like, I've only been doing it on YouTube for 5 episodes, leave me alone. And you always sit there. And what stinks about LinkedIn is they have the X and the check mixed up. So I think I'm clicking no, but then I'm actually clicking yes. And I'm like, well, wait a second. And then I have to disconnect them and I feel guilty. But how about you, Chantelle? Because you're LinkedIn, you mix networking stuff and you mix inspirational stuff. I've seen your posts. What do you like about LinkedIn? What do you not like about it?
Yeah, I mean, I like LinkedIn for being able to connect with people. And also when you are posting, you're posting to your network. So you're constantly connecting. I've also sometimes gotten some business out of LinkedIn. So I really appreciate it from the standpoint of really building your network and connections and sharing your expertise or sharing inspirational things to to your viewers, if you will, or to the people that you're connected to. So I really do like that about LinkedIn. I have to agree with Lynda in terms of a lot of the spam messages that you get, and so many people trying to connect with you that you don't even know or don't even say like who they are in the connection. It's just like, let's connect. So, and from my training back in the day, it was always saying like, don't ever connect with people you don't know, so that your network is very authentic. And so I've been trying to, of course, in that kind of way. So just a lot of spammy kind of messages, but for the most part, it's really awesome. And I really appreciate LinkedIn. And it's really the only social media that I use right now, actually. So I'm grateful for it.
How about you, Shannon?
So I feel like LinkedIn is just a professional Facebook. I think that people love to just collect people that they know. I'm not on there that much. And when I do, it's usually for Plan or for Ruotolo Spewak to kind of promote something or, let people know about something. And I just feel like, it can be kind of like a bragging ground, like, oh, I did this really big thing. And, that's great. And it's just like Facebook in that kind of aspect. Someone went on this huge vacation or somebody landed a really big deal. So you're happy for them either way. There are a lot of spammy messages, which are kind of annoying. You're just like, oh, just go away. But I mean, I like it for the fact that I can follow things like you, Steve. I can follow you. I can listen to your podcast through there. But for other things, it's like I don't want to follow Apple. I don't really care about the big companies, to have me follow you and have your information. It really doesn't matter to me. So I'm kind of indifferent about LinkedIn.
Now, I want to talk about mentorship. Okay, I've always been someone who, from when I did I remember a teacher, mentored me in high school. I remember when I did comedy when I was a young comic, I was mentored by older comics. So, I've always thought mentors were very important to me. And I've mentored a lot of young podcasters because a lot of them don't know what they're doing and they don't know how to get in touch with good guests. And I think mentorship is so important. And I think some people don't have the time for it and some people really want to do it. What is your experience with mentoring? Has anyone really mentored you? And do you try now to go out of your way and mentor other people because to sort of give back? And we'll start with you, Shannon, because you shook your head like this. So
Yeah.
you have a comment there.
Yes. So Ruotolo Spewak for a number of years, many years, has had an internship program where they will hire with money for pay college students, and you'll come into the office and you'll learn. Back when we had it more, we had marketing, we had accounting, we had finance, we had business development, we had a whole bunch of things. And when I came in, I was actually mentored by Dan Ruotolo and Greg Spewak, who were the two partners. And I took as much information as I could from them. And then what happened was they invited me to be a mentor through the internship program. So I got to mentor all the kids coming in through business development and administration and marketing. So it's been really cool to see someone with, not tons of knowledge on the subject and come in and then just be their guide to help them just kind of confirm what they already know about themselves or help them with problems that they might have found. And it's just been really great. We got to mentor some of the Yale kids. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the Yale school, but for the kids with special needs and autism. So that was really neat to give back. And I really like being a mentor on the nonprofit called Building Kings and Queens. And it's all about, confidence and team building and just teaching the kids right from wrong. We have community service events once a month, so they know that they have to give back so they can start mentoring other people. And it's just a big circle of helping others. And I've always kind of liked that with Plan, not to kind of like grab everybody's time. With Plan, for the past 2 years, we've given back to women's shelters. So helping and mentoring is a big thing on my end, and I will do it until the day I die.
How about you, Chantelle?
Yeah, I do think that mentoring is really important. I also find, though, oftentimes people don't know how to get a mentor, or they're shy in asking for a mentor, or just aren't coached into that. So I do think that mentoring is really important. I feel like I've had informal mentors. I wouldn't say necessarily that they were my mentor, but they were people that I called for support. I've had some advisory boards, so that, I guess in a sense, is a mentorship in that way as well. And then yes, I've also mentored others in the form of having interns, as well as being a big sister in the Big Brothers Big Sisters program, and also just with the people that I work with, as well. And then in my Leadership Institute, for Black women, we make sure that they all have kind of an accountability buddy, but it's also somebody that they can talk to about challenges that they're facing and getting support from each other, as well. So I do think that it is very important, but also I think a lot of coaching sometimes needs to be done, because I think a lot of people want mentors but aren't really sure how to go about getting one. Yeah, and that can be a little bit tricky, but I think it's a very important thing to have, especially to help with your growth and your own leadership.
How about you, Lynda?
So I didn't really think about this until you asked this question, but I suppose I have done a lot of mentoring over the years with different interns that have come in and out of the office, and young lawyers that have worked for me, and other individuals that have worked for me in different roles. Um, but I really feel like it's sort of a very informal thing for me, and it was informal for me when I was being mentored early on in my career, both my law career, but also just my career in general as a professional. I started off in politics, and I had a lot of very informal mentors who taught me so much. And I think, sometimes you don't realize those short little moments that you have with somebody and how much of an impact they can have.
Okay, I'm gonna stay with you on this question, Lynda. What motivates you? But at the end of the day, when you sit down, what motivates you? Is it money? Is it whatever? I mean, what motivates you?
So that's an interesting question. I have thought about that myself, about what motivates me, because I am a very driven person. And some of it is, yeah, I have to support my family. I need to, I want to achieve certain things, but really it's the game. And I think I've always been that way. There's whatever game I'm playing, whether it was graduate school or politics or law, I want to keep achieving, and I want to keep outdoing myself. I don't really compete with other people, but I am constantly in competition with myself, and I think that's what keeps me going.
How about you, Chantelle?
Yeah, I think success motivates me. So when we have a really great leadership training, for example, and people are getting it, and the sparks are flying and people are having aha moments in the session, like that's what motivates me. And it's like, yes, I love what I do. This is like, I can't wait to do the next one, so, and or even just getting a new client is also very motivating, like yes, or we have like, and so just working really hard and achieving the success, or planning a training and it going so well, or sometimes if it doesn't go well, that also motivates me to be like, okay, how can we do this better, what went wrong, how can we tweak it. So I think success and maybe not so great things happening helps motivate me to do even better, or want to even like do even more, or can we do this again, that kind of thing.
How about you, Shannon? What motivates Shannon Slamp?
Money's a big factor. I will be superficial and say that money is a big factor. Money can equal happiness. I think a lot of people who have never been in that situation where, a financial security kind of situation where, money does equal happiness. My bills are paid, I'm a happy person. But so besides that, I like, like the other two, I like to compete against myself as well. Getting a client is awesome, such an amazing feeling. I just made a better new website, so that was really cool, and that motivated me to want to have everybody come to the website now. It's just, yeah, the personal successes, I think, is something that's really important in kind of pushing yourself again a little bit further, like, oh, you got one client, how about you get 2 clients? Or, oh, you made this deal, why don't you get a better deal? So it's always that just pushing it just a little bit further each time. I think it's definitely a big motivator.
Now, I met all of you through networking in one way or another, and I wouldn't have this show if it wasn't for networking. I mean, I wouldn't have guests. I would just, I don't know anyone in the business world. I've come from entertainment, and I've learned. I really enjoy networking. There's things I don't like, and there's things I do like, and I think it's you got to take the whole ball of wax. I mean, it doesn't come one way or the other. What is your, if someone said, what is your thought on networking and how important is networking to you? What would you tell them? Chantelle, if I said you, what do you hate networking? Do you like networking? You think, sometimes it sucks, sometimes it doesn't. And how important is it? What would your answer be?
Networking is everything. It is my lifeblood. And they always say, right, that saying is, your network is your net worth. That is how I have built my business. And I can see how networking can be extremely intimidating to people, and walking into a room and not knowing anyone and having the courage to say hello to a stranger. So I definitely get it, especially from introverts' perspectives in terms of trying to meet people in person now. And again, and those types of things. But I enjoy networking. I'm an extreme extrovert, and I really enjoy meeting people and understanding who they are and what they do, and finding connections, and linking them and that kind of thing. And so I wouldn't have been able to build my business without networking. And that's how I've gotten pretty much all of my clients, is through networking or knowing somebody who knows somebody. Right. So I think it is the lifeblood of our leader, of our career. Like, people need to know who you are in order to get to the next level. And that's so important externally of an organization, and so important internally in an organization. And also being very strategic about networking as well, in terms of who do you need to meet, who are the important people that can be sponsors for you or mentors for you, and be your advocate when the doors are closed, those kinds of things. So I just think networking is a career's lifeblood, for sure.
How about you, Lynda?
So I think that my definition of networking has changed over the years. I used to be everywhere, go everywhere, be in person for every event, and I do not do that anymore. And it is a very big shift and a positive one for me, and has led to a lot of positive things. For me, social media gives me the broad, but what I really need is the deep. And deep is where I thrive. I would much rather have a smaller, deep network of people who I really can bounce ideas off of, share information with, and a larger network who maybe know me peripherally. But the truth is, for me, that those moments of connection with another single human being or two human beings, as opposed to a room full of people and a cocktail in my hand, is infinitely more powerful. And if I never have to go to another cocktail party again in my life, I will be thrilled.
How about you, Shannon?
So I'm a shy person by nature, so going up to people is really hard for me. So I've tried to not go to people that are in groups now. I enjoy networking. I think virtual networking is kind of great because it's kind of like the beginner step into networking. So if I meet someone here, then I can go to an in-person and then see you guys, girls, and Steve, and go and be like, hey, how are you doing? I love friends. I'm like the little kid that just wants all the friends in the world. So I don't see, I don't immediately go to networking to get business. I just go because you're going to buy off of your friend anyway. If you trust them, you know who they are. So that's kind of my aspect. So I love going up and just meeting people. And so if there's one person by themselves, they'd be like, hey, what are you doing? How's it going? Otherwise, if there's a group, I'm just gonna be like, I'll just meet the one person I know. And I'm like, let's go and sit in the corner and then let's just talk about people the whole time. But I do think it is very important to help build your business, or just to get your voice and name out there. It's definitely good.
I have one final question, and I always like to ask this question because people always have good insight. What would your advice be to someone just graduating college? You know, a 22-year-old, wherever, 25-year-old, 30-year-old, doesn't make a difference. People go through different parts. But what would your advice be to them to sit there, to just guide them? You know, you don't have to sit there and go, like, I brought this up last week. Someone wrote on my Stockton State, my college, well, Stockton University. They said, you know, what would your advice be to a incoming freshman? And I would said, you know, be yourself, enjoy the campus. It's a beautiful campus and you just have fun. And someone's like, well, make sure when you get out of school, you have the right mentors. And I'm like, dude, they asked about, you know, incoming freshmen. But what would you give advice to someone who's just graduating college, or it could be a trade school, or someone who's wanting to start a career? What would your advice be? And Lynda, we'll start with you because you've had a few different careers. So what would your advice be for someone who is younger, who's 21 or 22, just out?
So try things. Just try them and enjoy them for what they are. And if they are not your forever, let them go. You know, experience life, experience opportunities. When opportunities come up that excite you, take them. Take your risk while you can before you have families and mortgages and things that tie you down a little bit, and just live that life, and you will find your path if you just organically go with the things that your heart leads you to.
How about you, Shannon? Because once again, you did a complete different change. You've been through that, but all of you have been through different paths. What advice would you say?
I would say never stop learning. I think being in any kind of situation, whether it's, you know, a professional situation or even just, you know, you go to church and things like that, just never stop learning, and then start realizing what you like the most and start working on that kind of thing. So when I liked helping people, I got into the nonprofit. When I liked, you know, doing women empowerment, I created the women's committee. So it's just things that I find enjoyable and find interesting. And I think that people at a younger age should start that instead of waiting till they're like, oh, you know, I've been in the field for 20 years and I finally got to do what I wanted. I think starting that as soon as possible is definitely beneficial.
And you, Chantelle?
Yeah, I would say, you know, I like it. Well, everybody's answers, I collaborate, you know, I guess a combination of what everybody's already said, really. And I guess I would add is just, you know, trust your gut and your own instincts, you know, about things. If you don't feel like something's right for you or a right path for you, then trust that. And try something else, you know, like Lynda said, experience different things to really find out. And yes, be a continuous learner. And I would say, you know, trust your gut. And also I realized that having confidence when you're just starting out can be really challenging and tricky, but really trusting what you know and being open to learning new things, I think is really also important. And to be open and be curious, I think would also be some advice I would give, and be kind to yourself along the way, because things aren't always going to work out. So don't beat yourself up about it. Be kind to yourself, be open, and be curious.
Well, that's awesome. Everyone, now I want you to, as we wrap up, I want you to all give how can people get in touch with you? We're going to give you commercials. Lynda, we'll start with you, Lynda. How can people get in touch with you?
Okay, well, at Hinkle Law on Facebook and Instagram, LyndaHinkle.com, LyndaHinkle, because my mother was weird.
Well, there you go. Chantelle.
Yeah, feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm pretty much always there. So Chantelle Fitzgerald, Mindset Strategies. You can also check us out, or even the Leadership Institute for Black Women, all on LinkedIn. And then my website, mindsetstrategiesllc.com.
And Shannon.
If you're a woman and you want to join the free networking committee that meets once a month, you can email me. And then if you wanted to talk about plan or Ruotolo Spewak, so if you need administrative services or you need taxes or accounting, I'll just give you one blanket email. So you can do info at rs-co.com for Ruotolo, or you can do Shannon at plansouthj or sj.net.
There you go. So people, reach out. These are all great people. They're great leaders and they have good energy. And as you found out, they have lots of wisdom. You can email me at the Coop Tank at yahoo.com. Watch the past episodes on YouTube. Just search the Coop Tank. And I have 5 or 6 roundtable episodes. Go to the cooptank.podbean.com and you can hear some me interviewing some one-on-one leaders, from my friend Tony Luke Jr. to a bunch of great people. Bill Hoffman from Western Pet, not Hoffman Pest Extermination. Anyway, so check it out. Check out SuiteRecording, SuiteRecording, recording.com. You can check out them and check out Joe Gangemi because Joe Zameni does a great job. If you want to start a podcast, reach out to me or Joe. We can get you in studio. We can coach you. So that's about it. Keep listening to the Coop Tank. Everyone have a great week, and I will talk to you next time.